Years ago on the sea, a little girl in purple clothes was anxiously urging her mother to come ashore. Her mother was one of the many Haenyeo on the island who made a living by fishing. The greedy mother came ashore only after catching abalone, ready to sell the catch to the fishmonger's son. A nearby Haenyeo asked her to share some with a sick Haenyeo who couldn't dive. Aesun's mom refused. She was unwilling to pity others at the expense of her own child's hunger. After speaking, she took Aesun back home. Angry, she questioned why her daughter came to her house. Since her ex-husband died, she had remarried and was not responsible for Aesun, directing her to seek help from her grandmother instead. Aesun was heartbroken. She wanted to stay and eat at her mother's house, but her grandmother disliked her resemblance to her mother and did not welcome her. Her uncle also refused to give her yellow fish, despite her wishes to stay near her mother. Heartlessly, Aesun's mom sent her daughter away. As they were leaving, she noticed her new husband hiding cigarettes. For a Haenyeo, who relies on holding her breath, smoking was akin to a death wish. Aesun's mom sighed. Her husband suggested keeping Aesun at home, knowing he wanted her to work and take care of her siblings. However, staying with her grandmother allowed her at least to finish her schooling. She then solemnly picked up a poem Aesun had left behind, which won second place. Aesun's poem criticized her mother for only focusing on catching abalone, fearing she might die at sea. One abalone fetched $100, and she wished she could earn that to buy a day off for her mother to ease her workload. Aesun's mom cried after reading the poem, touched that her daughter understood her hardship. Meanwhile, Aesun was preparing dinner for her grandmother's family when Gwansik, the fishmonger's son who liked Aesun, brought 6 yellow fish, claiming to give one to her grandmother's house. He brought an extra for Aesun, knowing her uncle wouldn't feed her. Just as her uncle took the fish, Aesun's mom, furious, threw the fish at him, scolding her grandmother's family for mistreating her daughter. She then left with Aesun, cleaning her face by the sea, telling her she too wished to spend a whole day with her. She hoped Aesun would grow up quickly and give her $100 daily so she wouldn't need to dive anymore. Watching her sleeping daughter, Aesun's mom felt immense relief, knowing only this child truly cared for her. From then on, Aesun stayed by her mother's side. One day after school, Aesun came home crying, complaining that although she had the most votes, she was only made deputy class president because a powerful boy's family influenced the decision. Seeing her daughter's breakdown, Aesun's mom, touched by her plight, helped her pregnant aunt in the fields under the scorching sun and harvested sesame, all to borrow a pearl necklace for a wedding to support her own dignity. Aesun's mom dressed carefully and went to the school to meet her daughter's teacher, bringing a box of rice cakes as a gift. She hinted that the rice cakes were special. After she left, the teacher found an envelope stuffed with money inside the box and was very pleased. Walking home with her daughter, Aesun expressed concern about burdening her mother, reassuring her that being just the deputy class leader was okay. Her mom encouraged her, saying it was herself who was pitiful, not her daughter, and that she should just enjoy life. That evening, Aesun's mom threw all her hidden cigarettes into the fire, planning to quit smoking because her daughter had said that buying her a pearl necklace would be her first act when she grew up. She wanted to live to see that day. However, the next summer, Aesun's mom fell seriously ill. Other Haenyeo urged her not to dive, saying they would not let her starve. But the stubborn Aesun's mom preferred to dive than beg, wanting to leave more money for her children. In a fit of anger, Aesun burned her mother's diving suit and ran out of the house, throwing stones at the sea and cursing it for not sparing her hard-working mother. Gwansik came quietly to her side and offered her roasted chicken. As she cried and ate, she declared she would never marry Gwansik. In the evening, Aesun's mom woke Aesun up and prepared roasted abalone for her, knowing she would not see her daughter get married. She painted her daughter's nails with garden balsam, telling her to go to her grandmother's house after her death, as staying would only mean serving her stepfather. She wanted her uncle to give her away at her wedding, otherwise she would cry in heaven. With tears in her eyes, Aesun's mom lulled her daughter to sleep before passing away. At the funeral, Aesoon was in a daze. Gwansik brought a bowl of meat soup, and seeing him made Aesoon burst into tears, missing her mother deeply. Aesoon planned to leave her stepfather's house, but he said he was going fishing and asked her to take care of her siblings until the tuna season ended. She reluctantly agreed. With her stepfather away, she cared for the children and cultivated the land with Gwansik's help. As the stepfather kept finding reasons to keep her there, Gwansik often brought fish and even a garden balsam hairpin for Aesoon. Tired of her life taking care of her siblings, her stepfather hurriedly reassured her, promising to earn money for her to study literature on the mainland, which she loved. Aesoon agreed. As time passed, Aesoon worked at a vegetable stall in the market, facing Gwansik's fish stall. She studied there while he helped her with the stall, bringing her a chair and tidying up. The haenyeo watched them smiling, feeling that Aesoon's mom would have no regrets seeing Gwansik take care of Aesoon. Gwansik's mom watched her son help Aesoon sell vegetables, calling him a fool. The grandmother disapproved of Gwansik working for Aesoon and knocked over her stall. Gwansik quickly intervened and sent his grandmother away. He then found Aesoon, helped her change her shoes, and quietly listened as she vowed never to marry him, a man who didn't even know classic poetry. She was determined to marry someone from Seoul. Gwansik listened silently, nervously fidgeting with his clothes, wishing she would take her hands from his pockets to someone in Seoul. The two went to a canola field where Aesoon saw the fish in Gwansik's hand and mocked herself for not needing his pity or charity. Gwansik stubbornly turned his head. He wasn't just following her for 10 years out of pity. Aesoon kept asking why, and unable to hold back, Gwansik took her hand, stepped forward, and kissed her. He wanted to spend his life with her. Aesoon felt especially happy. She returned home to find her sister missing, so she searched the house and shockingly discovered her stepfather and his new girlfriend hiding in the closet. The girlfriend did not want to take care of Aesoon and planned to kick her out. Aesoon asked her stepfather for her college tuition, which he had promised to provide. The girlfriend mockingly noted that he was already in debt and had no money for her. Aesoon realized she had to rely on herself. Aesoon reluctantly sought help from her uncle, hoping he would take her in. However, he wanted her to quit school and work in a factory in Busan, offering room and board plus a salary, half of which she would send home. Unwilling to be exploited by her grandmother's family anymore, Aesoon, feeling desperate, went to Gwansik and tearfully asked if his family had a spare room and if he could convince his grandmother to take her in. Now having no home but Gwansik, she broke down, thinking she would end up marrying a local and living a miserable life. Gwansik, seemingly foolish, loudly recited her favorite nostalgic poem. Furious, Aesoon scolded him for making her live with such a fool. Gwansik held her tightly. He didn't dare approach his grandmother, but instead planned to elope with Aesoon, taking money from home. Aesoon also took her stepfather's girlfriend's jewelry and met Gwansik dressed in her clothes. Before leaving, Aesoon warned Gwansik that once they eloped, there was no turning back. They had to stick together no matter what. Gwansik, fearless, kissed her excitedly and took her on a ferry to Busan. On the ferry, the crew wanted to check their IDs, but they had none since they had run away. Gwansik, trembling, tried to bribe the crew with a ring. Aesoon quickly stopped him and loudly declared to the crew that they were a married couple, not runaway kids. In Busan, the couple went to a jewelry store to pawn the stolen jewelry. The owner asked several questions, and honest Gwansik admitted they had run away from home. The owner, suspecting the origins of the jewelry, refused to accept it. Without money, they went to a motel hoping to use a ring as collateral for a room. The understanding owner thought they were honeymooners and let them stay, even providing 2 bowls of ramen and a bottle of soju for free, encouraging them to enjoy a passionate night. However, when they woke up drunk, they found their luggage gone. They urgently asked the owner, who claimed they arrived empty-handed and even threatened to call the police on them for trying to stay for free. Aesoon realized the owner had eyed their money and set a trap. Despite their protests, the owner threatened to call the police if they didn't leave, as they had no ID cards. Disheartened, Gwansik and Aesoon sat by the roadside. After crying, Aesoon decided to get revenge and retrieve their luggage. That night, another female guest arrived. The owner tried to intoxicate her with the same trick. Aesoon and Gwansik warned the guest not to turn off the lights. The owner waited for the guest to fall asleep, but eventually had to go to bed herself. Once the owners were asleep, Gwansik and Aesoon sneaked in. Gwansik went for the cash box, and Aesoon looked for their luggage and her mother's photo. As they were leaving, Aesoon saw her hairpin on a little girl and startled her while retrieving it, which led to their capture by the owner. Gwansik dropped the cash box and charged at the owner, and both were taken to the police station. The police harshly reprimanded them, hitting Aesoon with a folder and criticizing their elopement. Later, Gwansik's mother arrived and first asked about the jewelry. After hearing it was stolen by the motel owner, she went to the motel, calling it a dishonest place and driving the guests away. The owner grabbed Gwansik's mother's hair, and the two women fought until the police intervened. That morning, the owner tried to pawn the jewelry, but the jeweler recognized it from the day before and reported her theft to the police. Thus, Gwansik's mother retrieved the stolen luggage and took the young couple back to Jeju Island. In that era, elopement was considered scandalous. Aesoon was expelled from school, and everyone on the island soon knew about her actions. Her uncle also scolded her, making it clear she was now unqualified even for factory work. With her past of elopement, no man would take her unless she married Gwansik. Gwansik was trying to convince his family to let him marry Aesoon. His father disagreed with marrying an orphan who had been expelled from school and only had a middle school diploma. Surprised, Gwansik rushed to Aesoon's house, finding it unbelievable that while he was suspended, Aesoon was expelled. The grandmother explained that in their time, a man doing the same thing might be called a hero, but a woman would be shamed. Knowing not to oppose Gwansik directly to avoid worsening his rebellious spirit, his mother went to Aesoon, using Gwansik's future as leverage to persuade her not to be a stumbling block in his life. This tactic worked. When Gwansik next visited, Aesoon refused to marry him. Her family started looking for other suitors for her, finding a divorced man with a child who was financially stable and promised to send Aesoon to university within 10 years if she behaved well. He was also willing to fund her poetry publication, provided that she bore at least 3 children. Hearing this, Aesoon felt hopeless about her future. Filled with childbearing, Hanyo aunts demanded justice for Aesoon and created a scene at Gwansik's home. Hearing about Aesoon's arranged marriage, Gwansik brought many fish to her house, pleading with the elders to let him marry her instead, arguing that she should not marry a 30-year-old divorced man. Pressured, the uncle said it was Aesoon who didn't want to marry Gwansik, driving him nearly insane with confusion. It was Aesoon's grandmother who reminded him to ask what his mother might have said to Aesoon. Meanwhile, Aesoon returned with the man she was set up with. Gwansik pulled her away to a canola field, begging her to marry him and even putting a ring on her finger. Aesoon provocatively said that the other man could provide for her education and poetry publication. Gwansik insisted he could also work hard to give her the life she wanted. Aesoon feared Gwansik giving up his athletic potential for her, threw the ring into the field, and rejected him with her actions. Gwansik asked if he was blocking her life, a question his mother had also asked in private. This time, Aesoon affirmed it and convinced him to leave. Afterward, she searched the field for the ring but never found it. They parted ways, and Gwansik pursued his athletic career, participating in competitions. On the day he left by boat, Aesoon was at a shop ordering clothes. A man accompanying her insulted Gwansik for being rude. That night, Aesoon defended Gwansik, which angered the man. He reminded her that her university funding would depend on her efforts. Aesoon blurted out that she didn't want his money. Confused, the man asked why she would marry him if she didn't want money. Aesoon's simple answer was that she had no home and no other choice. As she spoke, her thoughts were filled with Gwansik. Aesoon suggested to a man that he hire her as a nanny. The man was speechless. He felt that his wife would naturally take care of the household chores and saw no need to waste money. His plan was simple: find a filial daughter-in-law for his mother and a thrifty, diligent mother for his 2 children. Aesoon, driven by a sudden impulse while staring at a wall clock, ran towards the direction Gwansik had left. By the time she reached the dock, the ship had already sailed. She ran and called out Gwansik's name. Gwansik heard Aesoon's shouts and begged the captain to turn back. However, the captain would not change course just for one passenger. Without Aesoon, Gwansik felt he couldn't go on. The only way he could think of to return to her was to jump into the sea. Gwansik swam towards Aesoon at full speed. Gwansik's mother and grandmother watched, regretting ever letting him learn to swim. The couple embraced tightly, finally able to be together for life. Nothing could separate them now. 8 months after their marriage, they welcomed a daughter, conceived during their elopement to Busan. With their daughter, the couple felt they owned the world. Aesoon no longer thought about attending university, and Gwansik never regretted giving up his athletic career and the chance to win a gold medal. Aesoon had a loving husband, but life with her in-laws was difficult. Her mother-in-law wanted a grandson and demanded Aesoon bow 3,000 times before a Buddha statue to show sincerity. On the way back, her grandmother threw red beans at her, fearing the soul of Aesoon's mother might cling to her. In her spare time, Aesoon visited her stepfather's house to see her siblings, maintaining a good relationship with his new wife. She often complained about her mother-in-law in front of the new wife and helped with her children's diapers. The new wife gave Aesoon a tricycle for her daughter. When the grandmother saw the tricycle, she demanded Aesoon throw it away, insisting that riding was for boys. The mother-in-law agreed and suggested trading the tricycle for candy. That night, the grandmother took her great-granddaughter to sleep, hinting that the couple should go to their room and try for a child. Exhausted from the day, Aesoon lay in bed. Gwansik, feeling sympathy for his wife, always wanted to help share her burdens. Aesoon asked him to keep the tricycle for their daughter, arguing that if she didn't stand up for this small thing, her daughter would end up busy in the kitchen all her life like her. Aesoon hoped her daughter could do whatever she wanted and not just serve her in-laws, but be bold enough to overturn tables if dissatisfied. Gwansik encouraged Aesoon to do the same, overturn or smash tables, and he would handle the rest. This lifted Aesoon's spirits. The next morning, before dawn, Aesoon got up to face another day of red bean baptisms, as her grandmother prayed for her to have a son soon. At breakfast, Gwansik brought good news. He had bought a new tricycle for their daughter. If his mother wanted to trade it for candy of equal value, he had no objections, successfully securing his daughter's right to ride. In her husband's family, there was a tradition during meals where the grandmother and the men of the house sat at the main table, while the other women sat at a separate table. The main table's bowls often had many peas. Knowing his daughter liked peas, Gwansik sat next to Aesoon and gave her all the peas from his bowl, announcing he would eat at this table from now on. With Gwansik's affection, Aesoon didn't find life in her husband's family too hard and cheerfully saw him off to work every day. Soon after, Aesoon became pregnant again. The grandmother decided to send her great-granddaughter to become a haenyeo to earn money for the family. Aesoon loudly protested, refusing to let her daughter become a haenyeo, remembering her own mother's early death due to a respiratory illness caused by diving. Her mother had also warned her never to become a haenyeo or a servant to her in-laws. Aesoon was determined not to let her daughter follow in her mother's path. This defiance led the grandmother to slap Aesoon and throw red beans at her, ordering her to leave. Gwansik arrived home just in time to witness this scene. He emphasized that Aesoon had married him to live with him, not to be mistreated by his family. He declared that from that day onward, they would live on their own. Gwansik picked up their child and left with Aesoon. The family of 3 rented a small house, living a humble but free life. However, they fell behind on rent. Gwansik asked the landlord for more time, only to learn that someone named Island Virtue had paid 3 months' rent for them. The couple couldn't guess who this person was. Away from the in-laws, Aesoon was much happier. She knew Gwansik was earning money through fishing, but didn't know for which captain he worked. One day, noticing Gwansik's injury and that he wore long sleeves even in hot weather, Aesoon lifted his pant leg and saw his wounds. Wanting to help, she brought a gift to the captain's house, only to find out the captain was the man she had previously met during the arranged meeting. His wife informed her that on the day Gwansik was injured, the captain had deliberately delayed their return, forcing Gwansik to endure the pain. The captain's wife, a kind woman, knew her husband had a bad temper and had advised him against mistreating his workers, but he seemed to harbor animosity towards Gwansik. Aesoon argued that wrong is wrong and others should not tolerate his mistakes. After leaving the gift, she went to find Gwansik at the dock, where she saw the man hitting him. Aesoon ran over and publicly declared that Gwansik would no longer work for him. Before leaving, she kicked the man, cursing him as worse than a pig or dog. Throughout their lives, the couple lived in poverty, but it was their love that made them overlook everything and move forward together. Years later, as their daughter Geum-myung grew up, she developed a different understanding of poverty. When she reached dating age, her boyfriend's mother, from a well-off family, looked down on Geum-myung for her poor background and insisted that she must focus solely on being a good wife and mother after marriage. Raised by Aesoon, Geum-myung was not ashamed. She was diligent in her studies and just as capable as her boyfriend. Her life's purpose was not confined to domestic roles. She aimed to excel and advance in her career. Geum-myung decided to break up with her boyfriend. At home, Aesoon was sorting through Geum-myung's shoe collection, commenting on how many shoes she had bought. Geum-myung countered that growing up poor might have driven her to compensate for her childhood deprivations by buying things when she could afford them. Aesoon sensed her daughter's unhappiness and thought it stemmed from job stress, suggesting she take a break or even quit her job to get married. This advice upset Geum-myung even more. She did not want to end up like her mother, marrying a poor man and struggling to make ends meet. However, Aesoon had no regrets. She married a kind man who filled her life with warmth. She affirmed that if given another chance, she would still choose Gwansik. Just then, Gwansik came home with a lot of peas, Geum-myung's favorite food as a child. This act made Geum-myung feel guilty, realizing her parents always remembered what they couldn't give her and tried to provide more, while she often focused on what was missing in her life. Over the years, Gwansik's dedication to supporting the family had taken a toll on his health, leaving him with various ailments and less agile legs. He held his wife's hand, hoping to live as long as possible. After seeing Aesoon off, he would follow closely, ensuring she never had to die alone. After resigning, Gwansik lost his income source, spent his days disheartened, and soon there was no food at home. His daughter Geum-myung faced hunger too. Aesoon, his wife, started to worry. She couldn't ask others for help. All she could do was cry in front of her grandmother. The grandmother's household was barely better off, still in debt. Disappointed, Aesoon returned home, unable to sleep. Lying awake on her bedding, realizing for the first time how difficult the adult world is. She couldn't endure hardship like her late mother did, nor could she manage like the Hainyo aunt, who, despite hardships, always managed to eat and sleep on time. Just then, her grandmother's voice was heard outside. She had come late at night to give Aesoon a passbook. With the money, Gwansik could buy a boat and become a captain, earning a substantial income. Before Aesoon's mother passed away, she had asked the grandmother to accompany her for a final photo and entrusted Aesoon to her. Knowing her daughter well, she believed Aesoon wouldn't trouble her grandmother unless absolutely necessary. If such a day came, she hoped the grandmother would help Aesoon for the sake of her late son. The grandmother reassured her daughter-in-law that she would take good care of Aesoon. Hearing this, Aesoon was overwhelmed with tears, vowing to live a good and peaceful life. With the money, Gwansik purchased a boat and became a real captain. During this celebratory moment, Aesoon's water broke. Her second child was about to be born. Gwansik quickly emptied the cart and rushed Aesoon to the hospital. After the birth of their son, Aesoon's relationship with her in-laws gradually improved. Aesoon, a kind and forgiving soul, had long forgotten being ousted by her in-laws. Gwansik still worried about his mother troubling Aesoon, but she reassured him. Having born a son and making Gwansik a captain, even his mother couldn't be fast enough to appreciate her. Once the in-laws left, Gwansik shared great news with Aesoon. They finally had their own home. Standing at the doorstep of their new house, Aesoon felt as if she was dreaming. Gwansik had purchased her mother's old house. Aesoon remembered her mother's remarriage from her childhood and, seizing any chance, would run from her grandmother's house through the mountain path to find her mother, who would embrace her warmly upon hearing her daughter's young voice. Now, Gwansik had contacted the landlord and bought the house for Aesoon, making her dream a reality. With the house, they gradually added more furniture, including a brand new mother-of-pearl wardrobe for Aesoon. The family took a family photo at the door. In this new home, Aesoon became pregnant with their third child. On a hot night, her mother appeared in Aesoon's dream, repeatedly saying, "The woman next door bought a truck." At first, Aesoon thought her mother was criticizing Gwansik's inadequacy compared to the neighbor. After Aesoon woke up feeling discomfort in her abdomen, she woke her daughter Gum-myong and asked her to fetch the neighbor. Following her mother's advice, Aesoon rode in the neighbor's car to the hospital where she gave birth to her second son. Once recovered, Aesoon witnessed presidential elections in South Korea. At the same time, the village was electing a chairperson and vice chairperson. With the villagers' support, Aesoon became the vice chairperson. During this period, the government was cracking down on men and women who danced socially. Aesoon, part of the law enforcement team, searched the women's restroom at a dance training center. She found the chairperson's wife and daughter hiding there. Known for his temper, the chairperson was alarmed when the wife, helped by Aesoon through a restroom window, made a noise while escaping. Aesoon covered for them, taking on the arrest duty and preventing others from following. The wife dropped a shoe during the escape, which the chairperson recognized. After successfully escaping, the wife thanked Aesoon and shared her struggles with her verbally abusive husband at home. Dancing had become her mental refuge, secretly practiced in her spare time. In contrast, Aesoon appeared elegant and confident, more like a noblewoman, envied by the chairperson's wife who hoped her daughter would also marry well. Traditionally, women were not allowed on boats, believed to bring bad luck to seafaring men. Thus, Gwansik always took his son on the boat, while Aesoon and Gum-myong stayed ashore. Ignoring the custom, Gwansik reached out to them. Aesoon, wary of the superstition, held back Gum-myong, who was eager to board. Aesoon didn't want her daughter influenced by such beliefs and bravely stepped onto the boat herself, breaking the superstition by example. As the children grew, one day, Aesoon's younger son knocked over a candy jar. While she was busy picking up the candies, ignoring her crying son, a typhoon was brewing outside. Gum-myong's classmate came to find Aesoon, reporting a bike accident with a motorcycle. Aesoon rushed to find her daughter, entrusting her neighbor, who was half asleep and didn't catch her instructions, with the boys. When Aesoon returned, both sons were missing. A Henyo aunt found the older son on the breakwater and brought him home. The younger son, following his brother, got lost. Despite the storm, villagers searched and eventually, another Henyo aunt brought back the young boy's body. Overwhelmed by grief, Aesoon held her son's cold body in the storm, insisting on taking him to the hospital. The tragedy shattered the once happy family. Aesoon regretted not embracing her son instead of scolding him earlier. After their loss, Aesoon and Gwansik often lay idle, reminiscing about their young son and neglecting the feelings of their surviving son and daughter. Their eldest son dared not speak to Aesoon, thinking she blamed him. In fact, he blamed himself for not staying home to look after his brother, which he believed led to the accident. Gwansik, noticing Gum-myong's perfect test score and a tuition fee reminder, asked about her situation. Myung broke down, regretting her bicycle ride that day, believing it led to her brother's death. At that moment, the couple realized their neglect and embraced their beloved children. Unseen by them, both children were living with deep guilt. Realizing they had to change, Gwon-sik began eating properly and returned to work to earn money. His first priority was to pay Myung's tuition fees. Ae-soon continued to sell seafood at the beach to make a living. Though they had to keep dealing with the sea, Ae-soon resented it for taking both her mother and son. She vowed never to deal with the sea again, and often cried at the thought. Gwon-sik, as the strong one, upheld the family, understanding that as parents, they needed to live well and not let their children live in guilt. Ae-soon confessed to her husband that their young son's body was found on the dike, a place she often took the children to wait for Gwon-sik's return from sea. The children remembered that spot, which was particularly dangerous during typhoon season. Gwon-sik comforted his wife, never blaming her. He blamed himself, tormented for decades, thinking if he had not gone to build a seawall on the day of the typhoon, he might not have lost his son. Filing the death report, each entry reminded him of his loss, causing him to sit on the floor and weep with his rough hands supporting him. Ae-soon noticed the kitchen full of food from neighbors. The mysterious person who paid her rent turned out to be her stepfather's new wife, who helped Ae-soon before moving away. Ae-soon felt fortunate despite not yet being a strong adult, grateful for the kind people who helped her grow into a grateful woman. In a loving environment, Myung grew up and was admitted to Seoul National University. On her first day, she met her future boyfriend. Meanwhile, Ae-soon found local fishermen arguing with officials. With the Seoul Olympics approaching, the government was clearing Jeju Island's roadside stalls. Refusing to leave, the fishermen called for Vice President Ae-soon. Without a word, she lay in front of the demolition team's vehicle, daring the bulldozer to run over her, forcing the team to leave. After this incident, everyone supported Ae-soon in the upcoming Fishermen's Association election to run for president. Gwon-sik also campaigned for his wife, bringing snacks to the fishermen he knew to secure votes for her. Friends joked that once Ae-soon was elected, he would become the husband of the lady president, teasing that a man must maintain his dignity. Gwon-sik was unperturbed. He had always dreamed of being the first gentleman, while Ae-soon aspired to be the first female president. The current president was trying to secure votes by treating the fishermen to high-quality black pork and disparaging Ae-soon's family during the feast, mocking her second son as a fool. Meanwhile, Ae-soon, dressed up, went to attend a meeting celebrating her son's promotion to group leader at school. Unexpectedly, she was called to the playground and scolded by a teacher. It turned out that Myung had caused trouble at school by removing and selling the English letter car badges from teachers' cars, believing that possessing a university's initials could secure admission. Furthermore, Myung was conducting other business at school, acting like a little merchant. Ae-soon was so upset and lectured her son, wishing he was even half as good as Myung. Returning from school, Ae-soon went to help at a local restaurant, where the president was again hosting a lavish dinner to garner votes, continually belittling Ae-soon, fearing she might take his position. The Haenyeo women advised Ae-soon to fight back and find a way to expose the president's vulnerabilities. At the banquet, the drunken president met with a female agent in a private room. The agent wanted to evict the street vendors to allow the Olympic torch relay to pass through the village and increase property values, from which she hoped to profit. The president agreed to help her for a 30% cut of the profits. He then made inappropriate advances towards her. At that moment, Ae-soon burst into the room and stopped them. She then exposed the scene to the fishermen. As expected, Ae-soon was elected president of the Fishermen's Association. She hosted a celebration feast for the fishermen, where she sang and danced joyously while drunk. Myung urged his father to stop his mother from making a spectacle of herself in front of everyone. However, Gwon-sik happily watched his wife, knowing it was the happiest day for Ae-soon, who had spent 30 years achieving her dream, evolving from deputy leader to president. She wished she could share this moment with her mother, and hold her hand again, despite her tough childhood. Meanwhile today, a driver came to pick up Gum-young for a tutoring session at a wealthy family's home. Gum-young left without greeting her boyfriend who had come to the school to see her, worried about being late. At the tutoring session, the girl didn't even know the simplest English words, was only interested in fashion, and her parents were rarely home. Only the nanny was there, who cooked delicious food for Gum-young and took special care of her. Today, surprisingly, the lady of the house requested to see Gum-young. Waiting for her arrival, the lady suddenly produced an exam admission card with Gum-young's photo on it. It turned out she had not hired Gum-young as a tutor to improve academic performance, but to have her take the exam in her place. If Gum-young could get into one of the top 3 universities, the lady promised to give her an apartment in Seoul. She assured Gum-young that the examiners had been bribed, and all she needed to do was to take the exam as a proxy. To persuade Gum-young, the lady had researched her family background, appealing to her to consider her parents who were working hard to afford her education. Gum-young, remembering her parents who had taught her to be honest, refused the offer. Angered, the lady falsely accused Gum-young of stealing a valuable diamond ring and called the police. At the police station, the police searched Gum-young's backpack but found no ring. Still, they did not believe her and intended to search her physically. A maid, unable to stand by, took the supposedly stolen ring from the bedroom and threw it under a table, pretending it was found there. She then convinced the lady to call the police to admit the misunderstanding. The lady, thinking the maid was foolish for scolding her, saw her opening a window to throw the ring out. Desperate, she rushed to stop her and agreed to call the police. The lady was puzzled why the maid would risk her job to defend a stranger. The maid revealed that she was a former guest saved by Gwon-sik and Ae-soon years ago after they had alerted her to potential theft of her luggage. She remembered Ae-soon's kindness, simply motivated by the belief that no one should suffer theft. 20 years later, recognizing Gum-young, who resembled her young mother, the maid repaid Ae-soon's kindness. After leaving the police station, Gum-young missed her mother and called her, but broke down in tears, unable to speak upon hearing her mother's worried voice. Ae-soon told Gum-young that Gwon-sik was invited by the mayor to visit a museum in Seoul and might visit her, if possible. Hurrying back to school, Gum-young arrived at the station just in time to see her father sitting on a bench. Overwhelmed, she tried not to worry him and joined him for noodles. She couldn't help but complain about not receiving a scholarship as first place and being asked to vacate her dorm. She knew her achievements were burdening her parents, and despite her selfish desire for more, it only increased her guilt and self-blame. Gwon-sik, understanding her sacrifices for the family's situation, offered her some squid he had picked out, reassuring her to pursue her desires as he would fully support her. As he left, Gwon-sik told his daughter not to worry about rent. He would work hard fishing. Gum-young, however, was fixated on the Independence Hall badge on her father's wrist, realizing her politically unaware father didn't understand the mayor's intent in showing him the memorial. It was an opportunity to see his daughter. With tearful eyes, Gum-young watched her father wave from the car and couldn't help but wave back. Gwon-sik waved vigorously, just as he did when leaving for fishing trips during her childhood. Gum-young said goodbye to her boyfriend who was returning to military service after his leave. They embraced reluctantly. He asked her to wait for him for 2 more years, promising to marry her once he was discharged. The latest literary poetry contest began, and Ae-soon set up a stall at the event, remembering her own high school poetry competition. The Haenyeo aunt praised Ae-soon's talent and suggested she participate. Ae-soon joked that it was a high school competition and she shouldn't intrude. Ae-soon ran into a high school classmate and felt nervous, not because of the reunion, but because she couldn't bear to look at the son, who was about the age her younger son would have been. Gwon-sik felt similarly, calculating that if their son were alive, he would be 15, and he would give snacks to children of the same age. Meanwhile, a female professor wanted to support Gum-young, from a poor family, to study in Japan. Gum-young was thrilled and immediately shared the news with her mother. When Ae-soon asked about tuition, Jung responded that regardless of whether she told her mother, they couldn't afford it just by running a stall. This led to an argument between them. Afterward, Ae-soon confessed to Gwon-sik her guilt over not providing better living conditions for their daughter. Gwon-sik felt useless, regretting that his wife and daughter had to endure hardship with him. Soon, the family was moving to the city. Ae-soon placed candy and the new house address on the windowsill to guide her son's spirit to their new home. On the same day they moved, Jung boarded an international flight, tears falling as she clutched tightly wrapped Japanese yen. Her parents had done everything possible to give her the best. Initially, Ae-soon's mother had hoped her daughter wouldn't live a life like a maid's. Remembering her mother's advice, Ae-soon wanted her daughter to live freely and did her utmost to support Jung-young's dreams. Ae-soon sold her house and moved into a small apartment. Gwon-sik blamed himself for being too poor and making Ae-soon live in such a rundown house. Upset, he immediately wallpapered the bedroom with floral patterns and enthusiastically asked his wife if she wanted new curtains. Ae-soon guessed Gwon-sik's thoughts and told him smilingly that she didn't care where she lived. As long as she was with Gwon-sik, that was her home. The couple smiled at each other and started decorating their new home together. Initially, Ae-soon planned to open a fish store with 3 Haenyeo aunts by pooling money together. But she gave all her money to her daughter and now had to set up a stall outside the fish store temporarily. On the opening day of the fish store, they took a picture and sent it to Jung-young. Seeing her mother's lonely stall next to the fish store, Jung-young couldn't help crying and swore never to steal her parents' dreams again. A year later, after her study tour, Jung-young returned to Korea and rented a rundown room in a remote mountain area in Seoul to save money. The landlord was difficult and refused to install a lock on Jung-young's door. After several requests were denied, Jung-young reluctantly blocked the door with a wardrobe. Unexpectedly, just after she blocked the door, she heard the landlord knocking madly. Then a man with glasses pushed the wardrobe aside, asking for her help. It turned out he was the landlord's daughter's boyfriend. They were dating secretly at home and got trapped. When the landlord arrived, Jung-young had already hidden the man with glasses in the wardrobe. The landlord's daughter tried to distract her father, but inadvertently drew his attention to the wardrobe, where he caught the man. Meanwhile, Ae-soon and the landlord shared the same anger. Today, Ae-soon heard whispers coming from her son's room and went in under the pretense of bringing juice. Hearing noises from the wardrobe, she quickly called Gwon-sik to open it and found her son's girlfriend. Ae-soon didn't blame them, but inquired about the girlfriend's family. Shocked to learn she was the daughter of a man previously considered for an arranged marriage, she was speechless. That evening, she took her son to visit the girl's family, leaving the arranged marriage man smoking in the stairwell. Upset, Jung-young continued her studies in Seoul and looked for a part-time job on the bulletin board. She happened to meet Park Chung-seob, who was posting a movie poster. Seeing her looking for a job, he introduced her to a ticket-selling job at a cinema. On her first day, the cinema owner complained to Jung-young about Park Chung-seob, describing him as an obscure painter who depicted erotic movie covers as landscapes, never talking back, despite the scolding, but never changing his style either. Jung-young was just about to ask more about Park Chung-seob when a customer came to buy a ticket and invited her to a movie. Seeing the ring he tossed, she excitedly asked the owner to cover for her and ran backstage to meet her boyfriend. They embraced sweetly, a scene Park Chung-seob saw from the projection room. Feeling inexplicably jealous, he started playing the news to interrupt the couple's intimate moment. That evening, Jung-young's boyfriend walked her home. Seeing the dilapidated and dangerous neighborhood she lived in, he was very worried. Just then, Park Chung-seob happened to pass by. The boyfriend quickly shielded Jung-young. She reassured him not to worry, explaining that Park was a co-worker from the cinema and that she was fine living there. However, her boyfriend insisted strongly that she move to his apartment in a wealthier area. Feeling her pride trampled, Jung-young angrily walked away. That day, the boss sent Jung-young to deliver dumplings to Park Chung-seob, who was painting in the basement. Arriving in the basement, she was impressed by the paintings. Suddenly, a noisy argument erupted. Gum-young quickly hid, overhearing the landlord's daughter mocking Park Chung-seob for being too poor to take her out to a Western restaurant. Park Chung-seob accused his girlfriend of disrespecting their relationship by going on 6 blind dates since they started dating. Just then, a phone rang. The landlord's daughter answered it and spotted Gum-young hiding. Gum-young explained she was just passing by, but the landlord's daughter, skeptical, especially upon learning that Gum-young's job was introduced by Park Chung-seob, accused them of having an affair. Park intervened, asking his girlfriend to speak more respectfully. She was left speechless by anger. A few days later, on her boyfriend's birthday, Gum-young brought seaweed to his apartment and unexpectedly met his mother. The mother disapproved of Gum-young's inability to even serve seaweed soup properly, even touching the seaweed with her hands. At the dinner table, trying to please her boyfriend's mother, Gum-young ate a lot and praised her cooking, only to be told the food was store-bought and criticized for her large appetite. Moreover, the mother warned Gum-young that the apartment was bought for her son and was her property, hence she did not want Gum-young visiting again. After dinner, Gum-young cried in the rain, feeling like a cheap clown in front of her boyfriend's mother. She asked her boyfriend to choose between being a good son or a good husband, then left crying. Gum-young took a break from her relationship to focus on work. She noticed an aunt who came to the cinema entrance whenever a new movie was released, telling everyone that the movie posters were works of art. Gum-young guessed her identity and took her to the cinema, giving her a movie ticket claimed as a staff benefit. Park Chung-seob's mother thanked Gum-young and praised her son's painting skills. The kind-hearted boss handed the aunt a stack of tickets, saying the cinema would be doomed without Park Chung-seob. His mother, very happy, went into the theater. It was her first time watching a movie, and she was emotionally caught up in the story. Park Chung-seob, watching his mother engrossed in the film from the projection room, sincerely thanked Gum-young. She suggested he paint her a painting, joking that she could sell it for a lot of money when he became famous. They laughed and joked as the movie quickly came to an end, and then they walked his mother back to the store. On the way home, Park Chung-seob's mother excitedly discussed the movie plot with her son. Afterwards, she thanked the warm-hearted Gum-young, praising her as a good daughter she would never forget this day. At their family copy shop, she gave Gum-young many English books left by customers and asked her son to walk Gum-young home. Park Chung-seob treated Gum-young to noodles as a token of appreciation. Gum-young took the opportunity to ask him to clarify their relationship to the landlord's daughter, but Park Chung-seob said it wasn't necessary, as his girlfriend knew nothing serious was going on between them. He was just trying to alleviate his guilt for marrying someone else for money. Gum-young quickly comforted the heartbroken Park Chung-seob. That evening, A-soon went to her uncle's house to prepare offerings for the next day, the anniversary of her father's death. The family reminisced about a dangerous incident involving A-soon on a day of ancestral worship 30 years ago. A-soon was chopping wood with her cousin when she spotted a black dragonfly, which she associated with a death omen. She tried to catch it to prevent it from taking other dying dragonflies, chasing it to a bus stop. A disabled woman asked A-soon to get change for her to ride the bus. A-soon obediently got the change and received a coin as a reward. The woman then asked A-soon to go to an alley to exchange more money. But as A-soon approached a man, her mother intervened. Realizing a human trafficker was trying to abduct her daughter, A-soon's mother had rushed over the mountain, feeling a sudden unease after learning her daughter was chasing a dragonfly. After confirming the disabled woman had a scar on her wrist, A-soon's mother became suspicious, knowing the woman had seen A-soon's face and wouldn't let her go. In the days that followed, whenever a female customer came to buy seafood, she would check their wrists, scaring many customers away, but eventually catching the woman and her accomplice. The villagers, learning they were traffickers, beat them up. Recently, A-soon has been having recurring nightmares, waking up feeling anxious about her daughter's safety. She's been calling Gum-young every night, urging her to come home early and not stay out overnight. However, Gum-young is frustrated with her mother's nagging. A-soon, upset, hangs up and complains to Gwansik that although their daughter has grown up, in her heart, she remains the little girl she worries about constantly. At night, Ae-soon dreams again about the day her son died because she went to attend to Gyum-myung, who had fallen off her bike and wasn't watching her son, leading to his accidental death. Waking up anxious, Ae-soon goes to find Gyum-myung and discovers her unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning, pale and unresponsive, holding her daughter, crying as she did when her son died. Ae-soon frantically rushes to call an ambulance. By chance, Park Chung-seob is also at the landlord's place. He immediately carries Gyum-myung down the mountain to get help. Because Ae-soon was overly worried, she repeatedly saved Gyum-myung throughout her childhood. When Gyum-myung was sent to the hospital, her boyfriend rushed there immediately. Ae-soon remembered this young man. She eavesdropped on the young couple's conversation and heard the boyfriend had given Gyum-myung a ring, hoping she would move out of her shabby house after marriage. He couldn't imagine life without her, and tearfully reiterated his marriage proposal, promising to persuade his mother, while asking Gyum-myung to try to make his mother like her more. Unable to listen any longer, Ae-soon confronted the boyfriend, asking why his mother looked down on her precious daughter. The boyfriend remained silent. Ae-soon retorted that she didn't think highly of him either. 2 years passed, and Gyum-myung's brother went to serve in the military. At the same time, 28-year-old Park Chung-seob also enlisted without prior notice, leaving Gyum-myung feeling lost. She noticed a painting leaning against the wall, covered by a scarf. It was a portrait of her painted by Park Chung-seob. After 2 years of effort by the boyfriend, both sets of parents finally met to discuss the wedding. Ae-soon and her husband arrived at the restaurant early and waited an hour for the groom's family. As they entered, Gyum-myung stood up to greet them, asking if they felt carsick. The boyfriend's mother didn't apologize. Instead, Ae-soon kept saying it was okay. The boyfriend's father reached out to Gwansik, who held his hand tightly, not wanting to show his rough hands from labor. While the elders talked, Gyum-myung served soup to everyone, only to find a little left for her own bowl. Seeing this, Ae-soon felt sad, realizing that she always ended up serving at her in-laws. Thinking this, Ae-soon exchanged her soup with her daughters, feeling she hadn't set a good example. The boyfriend's mother continued to dominate the conversation, criticizing Gyum-myung for her lack of domestic skills and suggesting she quit her job after marriage to take care of the family. The boyfriend's father, unapologetically, handed Gyum-myung a bowl to serve more soup. Gwansik looked at the boyfriend, knowing that a man should protect the woman he loves. This is why Ae-soon never felt bitter at her in-laws. She clearly remembered Gwansik being the first family head to sit and eat with the women. Gwansik always showed through his actions that he would be a steadfast partner for his wife. The boyfriend stood up to help. Ae-soon took the spoon from him, not wanting the in-laws to think her daughter was incompetent. She stated it wasn't that Gyum-myung couldn't do these tasks. It's just that she never taught her to perform tasks meant for servants. The meal was tense, with the in-laws only caring whether Gyum-myung could cook soybean paste soup and other dishes. They had sent Gyum-myung to university, not to learn how to serve her in-laws. The more Ae-soon thought about it, the angrier she became. Gwansik also didn't support the marriage. Days later, the families met to choose fabric for traditional Korean clothes. Ae-soon liked pink, but the in-laws decided without her and chose a fabric that looked like red bean soup. After making their selections, the three of them agreed to have dinner with Gyum-myung's boyfriend. While Gyum-myung was picking up her boyfriend, her future mother-in-law spoke frankly, expressing her wish for Ae-soon to stop the wedding. She described her son as her life's finest creation and could not accept him marrying Gyum-myung. She compared Ae-soon's poor family to trees growing in the shade, which could never match the trees thriving in the sunlight of wealth. During the meal, Ae-soon was unhappy. Unaware of the conversation, Gyum-myung scolded her mother for being unfriendly, leading to an argument between them. Gyum-myung saw Ae-soon's compromise and thought her mother felt unworthy of the boyfriend, hence trying to please the in-laws at all costs. Ae-soon explained that she was merely trying to prevent future mistreatment of her daughter by the in-laws. Ae-soon advised Gyum-young to consider carefully, reminding her that she was a precious child to her parents and that they would be heartbroken to see her suffer. At that time, Gyum-young was determined to stay with her boyfriend and had no plans to break up. The boyfriend's mother, unable to sit idly by, confronted Gyum-young, thinking Ae-soon would persuade her daughter. Discovering Gyum-young still intended to marry, she realized that Ae-soon too had been silently enduring hardships. Gyum-young decided she could no longer tolerate it. She told the elder that her past silence was not out of weakness, but to spare her boyfriend embarrassment. She pointed out that while she could consider her boyfriend's feelings, his mother treated her child's life as her property, to be trampled at will. After this argument, Gyum-young firmly decided to break up. The couple, who had been together for 7 years, took a year to completely end their relationship. On the night they severed ties, Gyum-young spoke her truth, saying she had always loved her boyfriend deeply, but love did not mean sacrificing her dignity. She lamented how she had compromised for him. Her boyfriend was willing to set boundaries with his parents, but Gyum-young shook her head, believing that if love required such sacrifices, it would only lead to mutual resentment. She did not want her boyfriend to end up resenting her. With Gyum-young's insistence, the former lovers ended their relationship with a hug. Knowing about their daughter's breakup, Ae-soon and her husband were somewhat worried, sighing heavily at the dinner table with somber expressions. The next moment, Gyum-young's voice came from the entrance. She had returned home. Instantly, her parents' faces lit up with smiles. Ae-soon rushed to the kitchen to prepare food, while Gwon-sik brought a heater for their daughter to warm up. Watching her parents busy themselves, Gyum-young imagined how quiet the house must have been before she entered, in stark contrast to the current lively scene. Ae-soon prepared a table full of food, varying the dishes daily to feed Gyum-young. Unsure how to soothe their daughter's emotions, her parents could only think of making sure she was well-fed and energized to face the new day. One day before dawn, Gwon-sik took his daughter Gyum-young out to sea to watch the sunrise. Gyum-young could hardly imagine how her father managed to go out to sea every day before dawn, as waking up early was a torture for her. Gwon-sik's motivation came from his family. His early mornings ensured a comfortable life for them, allowing Gyum-young the luxury of sleeping in. Gyum-young felt guilty for canceling the wedding and embarrassing her parents. But Gwon-sik actually hoped she wouldn't marry into that kind of family, and didn't care whether she married at all. Gyum-young disagreed, determined to marry because her parents were happy together. As they spoke, the sun rose. To Gyum-young, Gwon-sik was the son that took care of the family, always making her feel warm. Speaking of the canceled wedding, Ae-soon had never sent out the invitations. Sensing her daughter might change her mind, Ae-soon held her daughter's hand, comforting her that it's okay not to forget, but to pack up cherished memories and keep them deep in the heart. To reminisce whenever desired. Gyum-young looked at her mother and encouraged Ae-soon to continue writing poetry, her only hobby, which she still pursued daily. Gyum-young returned to Seoul, opened her windows to let light in, changed her bedding, cleaned the fridge, and stored the side dishes her mother had prepared for her. After seeing off Gyum-young, the couple returned home somberly, moved to tears by gifts of skincare products. Ae-soon's sister-in-law came to sell her products. Her car was filled with various items. Being family, Ae-soon bought 2 mattresses, asking her sister-in-law to deliver one to her mother-in-law. The sister-in-law felt awkward, as she, being the biological daughter, only remembered her mother when she needed help, unlike Ae-soon, who frequently cared for the elderly. Ae-soon gave the other mattress to her grandmother on her birthday. Her grandmother was somewhat senile, not recognizing family members, and only knowing Ae-soon as her granddaughter. Ae-soon, grateful for her grandmother's kindness, planned to take her for dentures in the spring. Her grandmother remembered that Ae-soon had also lost a son, a feeling she understood well. At home, the couple tacitly never mentioned their deceased young son. In that moment, Ae-soon cried on her grandmother's lap. At night, the grandmother slept on the mattress Ae-soon bought, commenting that Ae-soon was a filial child. In the past, she had never given Ae-soon much, even as little as a small yellow fish, But now her granddaughter was repaying with kindness and even wanted to take her to live with her, making the grandmother feel her life was nearing its end. Scenes from her life flashed before her eyes. Sometimes life was hard, almost suffocating, but overall, having her children by her side made it a happy life. After their grandmother passed away, Asun and her husband went to pay their respects. As they grew older, dealing with farewells became a part of life. Asun was somewhat afraid of being separated from Gwansik, and they promised each other to face death together. On this day, the couple welcomed their son home from the military. His return was accompanied by his girlfriend. Not only had they reconciled, but she was also pregnant with a new life. Asun was initially unable to accept this, and Gwansik even considered giving his son a stern talking to. Park Chung-seob also returned from the military. As soon as he got off the bus, he saw Asun sitting in the car. He ran after the bus, blending in with a group of fans chasing after a celebrity. He loudly called out for Gyum-myung. It seemed like Gyum-myung heard someone calling her name. Spring was about to arrive for Gyum-myung.